Good morning. Happy day after my birthday. We leave tomorrow. So today is our last full day in Bucharest in Romania. And yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but I had an amazing time and I can't wait to explore a little bit more today. And here's the outfit. Cute, we know it. Yes, living, thriving, how we roll. All right, and now we're gonna go and have breakfast, so let's go. Even though it's in a tiny glass and not as diluted as I'm used to, it's gonna get hard going back. This is strong, but anyway, I mean strong in flavor because the same amount of everything is in it. But anyway, having our matcha, having our breakfast, and yeah, that's what's happening right now. We have to leave at a hard 10 because the tour starts at 10:30 and it's a 25 minutes walk from here. So hard 10 leave, but I'm gonna do my matcha for now, so. Another day in Romania. Today we are going on a very sad communist tour. We're heading there now. But yeah, anyway. And then afterwards it's a vampire ghost tour, which I'm very excited about. Anyway, we're heading there and I'll check with you later. Yeah. Okay. Outfit, yes, it looks familiar because I want to wear it again. Bow and all. We're taking pictures. Let's go. Why is it sexy husband.
You know, when this long night will fade away, and we go back to our old ways, to breakfast strangers in the skies. When the sun is going to stretch its arms on the road, turn us again with his shrill call into perfect strangers in the sky.
We are heading to our ghost vampire tour. I'm very excited, so let's go.
Forget that crazy world, yeah, I feel that. No need to say a word. We'll do our best to keep the sunlight from melting down the night. Plugging this food is finally right for having a last bite. This time we'll start again. He's crazy, right? An ideal place for us to hide. Two perfect strangers in disguise. Back to the sharp grin of everyday life, wearing our armors cold as ice. Two perfect strangers in disguise. But until then, forget our crazy world. Yeah, until then, no need to say a word. We'll do our best to keep the sunlight from melting down the night.
It's officially the end of our last full day here in Romania. When I got here, I had no idea what to expect. I really had no notion of what Romania really is or what it's about. I mean, when I started doing research on, what kind of tours we could have, a lot of it was about communism and how they escaped it or are currently trying to escape the corruption of what occurred. Of course, Dracula populated, but he's all the way in Transylvania, so that's like a 4-hour drive away. But yeah, I had no idea what to expect when we arrived in Bucharest, and I am just blown away. The city is absolutely beautiful. On the weekends, they have this huge strip of road in Old City that is just for pedestrians. They block it off so that you can just walk up and down this beautiful road. And the buildings are just gorgeous. So what I found out and I thought was so interesting was Romania is just constantly trying to figure out its identity. And part of that struggle was their discovery of, trying to figure out who they are, who they can be. And they all fell in love with Paris, with France, everything that France was doing, that was the cool, most fashion forward thing to do, which is why you see so many buildings that are based in this whole like Palace of Versailles or kind of very Paris feeling. And it's just absolutely enchanting. Of course, this was during the monarchy, which, a lot of people, that's a whole nother thing, right? So you have the monarchy, the bourgeoisie, and the incredibly wealthy basically owned a lot of peasants, right? Peasants didn't even have their own land. It was a serfdom. So like the monarchy wasn't great for most of the Romanians. And, and even then, like it was different countries coming into Romania that was trying to impose their own, not their own culture, they were just taking, right? Romania has, a lot of oil, and it's a beautiful country, it has a lot of resources, and there were all these different countries coming in to take it over, Romania, while the language is beautiful and sounds a little Slavic, and even in pronunciation has like a Slavic sort of slang to it, swing, cadence. It's actually Latin based. So when they decided they wanted to be more like France, they kind of took some French words and mixed that in. And then there's English, which is a Germanic language. And so they kind of mixed that in as well. It's just, it's fascinating. They're also very soaked in lore. And religion. Religion is a huge thing. So even when communism came, religion kind of still survived, because the communists realized that if they tried to take that away, then there was no way that the communists could even ever stand. So while religion was still a little underground, because there couldn't be no God, only communism, the communists knew that they couldn't take it away entirely. So they moved these churches and hid them behind these hideous communist compounds, which are these buildings and factories. And they took these peasants from, rural areas that they're, lived their whole lives in, and shoved them into the urban areas and forced them to be factory workers. And it's been rough, right? So life in Romania is still a little precarious. There's a lot of things that has not been written in history, has still not been taught in their history, because they don't know what story to tell and whose side they're on. And so it feels like Romania is in this precarious situation where it could go either way, but it also kind of feels like it's leaning towards that still corrupted government. As what government isn't corrupted? Just look at our own country, right? So there's corruption everywhere, but for a country that is so close to having more freedoms, I can only hope and pray that they move towards having and continuing having those freedoms, as opposed to, everything being taken away from them again. I can't imagine. There's a lot of younger people, and I think the frustration is, and it feels like this for my generation and the generation after me as well, that it is up to us to fix the mess of the generations before us. And I can't imagine the struggle. Romania is probably one of the poorer European countries, and they still don't have the EU currency and stuff like that. So, which benefits them, because for a lot of countries that were struggling, like Italy and Greece, when they converted to having the euro, it really hurt them economically. But it's just interesting how this country has so much incredible potential. A lot of people think of Romania, they think of, this is gonna sound horrific, but like gypsies, right? In Italy, you say Romanians, and it's all, they're thieves and these horrible people. Any other country, you say Romanian, and it's a bad, people just think very poorly of the Romanians. But having been here, I don't know. Having been here, I am in love. Like, the people are beautiful. Like, they literally just dress to the nines. Some of their buildings might be falling apart, but the things that they have control over, they make sure that what you see looks amazing, even if it's crumbling on the inside. So they seem very progressive and forward thinking, and I hope that continues for them. The tours that we went on were eye-opening and brilliant and exciting. And I hope this country continues to grow in a positive direction, because the people here deserve to have freedoms that the rest of, first world countries have, and they deserve to have happy, I mean, everyone does, right? So it's just coming from such a dark time. I mean, literally, I was born when this country was still communist, and the people here that are my age remember a transition of, what it was to be communist and suddenly not communist, and their parents were a part of the revolution, or as my father wants to say, a coup. Again, steeped in a little bit of, how do you say, a little corruption still. So, but again, what government isn't? But anyway, my thoughts on Romania. It's beautiful. If you ever get the opportunity, definitely visit. I want to return, and I want to get steeped into the vampire lore. The Romanians in Bucharest are a little embarrassed by the lore and the witches and the idea of the supernatural, and yet they're also very religious. On one hand, not the newer generation, the younger generation, but the older generation, definitely very religious, and they still play into the paganism and stuff like that, which is, to me, just fun, right? Like what our Halloween is. But there's just something to be said, right? Like, they're building this massive church, which there's two thoughts of it, right? This church is like the biggest church in all of Romania, and it's going to do incredible things for tourism if and when they ever open for tourism, if and when they ever get their story straight on what really happened and, where this country is going to go in terms of government. And on the other hand, the money that could have gone to building this church could have gone to the roads and the people and education and teachers. And a lot of Romanians are troubled and struggle knowing that their education isn't as good as it could be. And that kind of plays into what I know about how to control population. The less educated you are, the easier you are to control. And so it's worrisome, but the newer generation is still being taught critical thinking skills. And I think the educators and the teachers recognize these things. And despite the holes in the curriculum, a lot of the students are getting the skills that they need in order to understand the world and how to navigate the world around them. Anyway, these are just some thoughts that I had based on this experience that I've had here in Romania. I don't know. I am in love, and I think it's an incredible country just based on the one city that I've been to, which is Bucharest. But I do want to return and see other parts of this country, because I know Bucharest is it's the capital, so it's probably one of the more affluent parts of this country. And so it lends itself to more touristy beautiful things. I mean, every place here is gorgeous. The restaurants are so chic and beautiful, and they all have different like motifs and vibes, and it's just an incredible city. I personally loved it. This is my experience here. I'm gonna stop talking so I can finish my episode so that I can go to bed. But I just wanted to say that yeah, it's an incredible country, and I hope that, you know, the people who end up losing the most almost always are women. And throughout history, in every country, it's the women that lose. But on the ghost tour, as much as our guide kind of tongue-in-cheeked the whole, oh, witches, and it's all a fraud kind of thing, I have to say, when the government wanted to find a way to make money off of the witches, the occult, the women who practice witchcraft, she said that the government had two thoughts. It was either to tax the witches and make them legitimate, you know, a legitimate business, or consider them fraud and criminalize them and make money based off of the fines that they can do on these. And there was one very powerful witch who said she was the queen of the witches, and she said on the media to all the politicians who do go to witches for various reasons, mostly to try and make their lives better in some way, because magic. And she threatened every single one. She said, if you are to outlaw or touch any of what it is that we do in terms of witchcraft, we will make it so that you and the generation after you and the generation after that will never be able to walk again. And it scared them so much that nothing has been done. So it's not considered fraud and it's not considered illegal. It just exists. And to that I will say, whether they believe in magic or not, whether you believe in magic or manifestation or whatever, I will say there is power in language. And I've always believed this: language is reality, and what you speak will eventually come back to you or visit you or come to fruition in some form, because there's an energy behind words, and when people hear those words, it affects them one way or another. And what I say to that is, it was finally nice to hear that when a woman spoke, people listened. And that was refreshing. Anyway, thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Until next time.